You make a mistake. You hurt someone or disappoint them. You choose to do something that you know is wrong. Guilt becomes a heavy burden. You might even feel a sick twist in your stomach as you remember all those things you've done. You might fear that someone else will find out. What to do? This is Jackie for RX for Joy. This video is part 1 of how to restore your joy when the burden of guilt weighs you down. I am also going to show you how colored pencils can make a message just pop, and how cross-referencing gives you deeper understanding. I love Psalm 103. It has a lot of answers to this issue. David wrote this psalm, and although in this psalm he doesn't mention any specific moral problems in his life, we know that David was a murderer and an adulterer. Guilt could have reigned as a power over him. Now, you might experience more common guilt in that you're not a murderer. Maybe you broke a promise to a friend, yelled at your kids, cheated in a game. We humans can say, oh, well, that's just being normal, human. And there is a time when we need to openly confess our sins. We need to take responsibility for our actions. Next week's video will cover those issues. This week, I want to focus on the mind battle that we have with guilt and shame. Psalm 103 starts by saying, "Bless the Lord, O my soul." David's talking to his soul, telling him, bless the Lord. In other words, we are to choose to put our thoughts on praising God and being grateful to Him. Let's read these verses and watch how I colored the verbs in this psalm. As I look at these verbs, it makes me so much more aware of how God is working. And I hope that you will take time to read through this psalm all at one sitting so you get the full effect. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless His holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, and do not forget any of His benefits. So this is our part. We are to remember, to recall the benefits of God. And now comes a list of those benefits, and you can see I actually numbered them as well as colored. Who pardons all your guilt. There's that word guilt. Who heals all your diseases. He heals me of the regrets and the shame. Who redeems your life from the pit. Yes, guilt can put you in a pit of darkness. There's more going on here. A cross-reference helps us understand. Colossians 1, verses 13 through 14. For He rescued us from the domain of darkness and transferred us to the kingdom of His beloved Son, in whom we have redemption, the forgiveness of sins. Now we understand more about what He means by redeeming us from the pit. Back to Psalm 103, verse 4. Who crowns you with favor and compassion, who satisfies your years with good things, so that your youth is renewed like the eagle. What a great list of benefits. We don't deserve any of these. So when you're weighed down, stop and think. Don't let guilt steal away from these blessings that God has for you. In the next verses, we see God's actions that reveal His character. The Lord performs righteous deeds and judgments for all who are oppressed. He made known His ways to Moses, His deeds to the sons of Israel. This shows me that God has revealed Himself, and He wants to reveal Himself to you and me in a close relationship. Verse 8, the Lord is compassionate and gracious. And isn't that what we all want when we're feeling guilty? Someone who is compassionate, who understands, and then gives us grace. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in mercy. He will not always contend with us, nor will he keep his anger forever. He has not dealt with us according to our sins, nor rewarded us according to our guilty deeds. Well, we'll just stop and remember, we are guilty. We all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. But he gives mercy. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his mercy toward those who fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our wrongdoings from us. A cross-reference again helps us to understand this as New Testament believers. This image of sins being removed is used also in Hebrews 9:26. He, Jesus, has been manifested to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. How does he remove it? By his sacrifice. So, should we be holding on to our guilt over sins? They've been removed as far as the east is from the west. And we know how they were removed, at a great price. Colossians 2:14 explains, having canceled out the certificate of debt, what we owed God, consisting of degrees against us, in other words, our sins, which was hostile to us, and he has taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the cross. So that list of guilty sins that you are holding on to, they've been nailed to the cross. Verse 13, just as a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. So all this good news is conditional. We will find freedom from guilt and shame, freedom from sin, when we become children of God. When we believe in the sacrifice of Jesus, we are adopted into God's family, and he has compassion on us. For he himself knows our form. He is mindful that we are nothing but dust. God so understands our weaknesses. He wants to set us free. And sometimes we play all kinds of mind games trying to be set free from our guilt, when it's God who's going to release us. And because Jesus suffered in our place, he can now heal your heart and your mind. He can renew you like an eagle. So what is my RX for joy today about feeling guilty? Spend time praying over all these benefits listed in Psalm 103. Leave the past behind. When you keep bringing those failures to your mind, it doesn't change or fix anything. Instead, remember what God has done about those troubling sins. And then accept his mercy and compassion on you personally. Forgive yourself as you accept God's forgiveness. Next week, we're going to look at how to take responsibility when we sin. It's a daily process of unloading that burden of guilt as we confess and make amends.